Lois.
Hi, good morning.
How are
Welcome
you
to,
today?
I'm good. Welcome to March. Soon winter is
I
over. Of
know.
course, you're sitting in a very warm state, so I guess that's a silly question or silly
Yeah,
comment for you.
winter is relative here in Arizona, for sure.
Yeah, that's right. So we have some exciting news to just let the audience know before we get
Yeah.
going. It is our 5th year for Women in Digital Awards, which is amazing. We were just reminiscing about starting the awards and wondering how it would go. And, is it going to be successful? Will women want to sign up and participate? But we've had an amazing success, and every year has been really successful. We have 3 regions, Americas, Europe, and Asia Pac, all participating. And we're very excited. We just kicked it off to have nominations come in for women that you think are, breaking the barriers and doing amazing things, especially now with AI and what's happening in technology. So, look to our website at isg-one.com and see if you can have a woman to nominate. So
Yes, very exciting. And I think nominations are due by May 4th, if I'm not wrong. Yes?
that's probably it. So don't
Yeah.
wait, though. It's
Don't
important to
wait.
get them in. Yes,
Yes, yes.
absolutely.
Yeah, don't hesitate to reach out,
Yeah.
everybody, if you need some help submitting your nominations or have questions about the program. We're really excited about it. So thanks for mentioning that.
Yeah.
Um, we have a really exciting guest joining us today, Wawi Kantz. And Vavi is going to be the keynote speaker for our Women in Digital Awards in EMEA this year.
Wow,
So
that's
when
great.
we have those nominations coming in and make the selections, then Vavi will be joining us at the awards ceremony in EMEA as our keynote speaker. So you all get a little preview of what you can expect to see.
Outstanding.
So we're excited to welcome Vavi. Can we bring Vavi on stage?
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Thanks so much for joining us. I'm really excited to have this conversation about AI, very hot topic as always. So, Lois, we'll see you toward the end of the conversation.
Sounds good.
So,
Yeah, hi.
Bobby, so nice to welcome you and welcome everybody to today's conversation. I want to start. You are an independent consultant helping enterprises with AI adoption and AI strategy, but it hasn't always been that way. You've worked in AI for some of the largest companies in the world. And so I'm interested, is there something about this time in AI or about your personal experience that inspired you to start your own firm and work in this area?
Yeah, I think it would be not just one thing, but there were basically 3 elements in that decision. So first of all, have to say that I never ever thought that I would ever have a career in something like AI, because I originally started my education and also early career in the communications, PR, marketing space. But regardless of that, the decision to start my own business really emerged when I started to engage with people outside Pfizer, where I was working over the last decade on AI. And I really felt that people are really interested in what I have to say and eager to learn from experiences, almost sometimes to an extent where I started to feel a bit uncomfortable saying, okay, I don't think I can share that advice with you now, because obviously,
Mm.
I have an employer. But, I felt that what I'm doing has an impact and could be of relevance for, you know, other businesses as well. And then I would say the getting the AI women or the Women in Digital Award for the AI Champion category was another boost, telling me that that might be a good idea. But then it was also the realization when I started talking to people that were outside that AI bubble, people in my near environment, businesses in Austria, in Europe, that they looked at me sometimes as if I would be coming from a different planet when I was talking about what I'm doing and, all of the things and questions that kept me up at night. And I just felt, oh my God, there's so much that still needs to be done, because I genuinely believe in the positive power of AI. How can it change anything if it's just used by the top companies and AI native startups? I feel it really has to come to the businesses that are the make the majority of our economy and our society. So really kind of feeling that motivation and that push. And then third thing, I really feel that based on my own journey, like if I can do it and if I can, work with AI and manage it and so on, anyone can, right? Because I started my journey in AI coming from, the business, working on strategy, innovation consulting, but algorithms, programming languages. In the beginning, I remember in my first training, the trainer was asking, like, who speaks Python? And I was like, what are you talking about? So I really started from that level. And then, yes, very painfully had to learn all of these things, how machine learning works, how to train my own model, how to wrangle data, and so on. But I made it, and it really enriched my career and opened up opportunities that I never thought would be possible. So I feel that I probably, based on my background, I'm in a very good position to help others on that journey as well, even if they're not, naturally a techie or coming from that background.
What an amazing story. I too have an early career background in PR and communications.
Oh, okay.
So
we have something in common.
yes, I understand exactly what you mean by finding yourself in technology, being like, this is not what I studied. This is not
Yeah.
what I practiced early in my career. So
Totally.
you talk about managing AI like a team.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to drill down into that a little bit more in our conversation later. But I'm wondering if you can share some insights about what you call the integration challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. So I like to think of AI as a new category of our workforce. And if you think about it, an organization's immune system, if you introduce something foreign to it, and AI certainly is something foreign, it resists, right? And it rejects it. And that's why I feel we need to think really carefully about integrating AI, not just from a tech perspective, which of course is an important aspect, but really start from the strategy level and think through, okay, if we're bringing this new workforce category on board, how is that going to help us with what we're here to do, right? What we're here to achieve? How does that support our goals? Similar, like you're doing with human workforce, right? You wouldn't hire anyone if you don't feel they can help you achieve what you want to achieve. But then also on the operations side of things, really thinking through how can we integrate these capabilities in how work gets done here. In our business, how our data flows, how our work flows, and how we govern it. So really making sure it's not that foreign piece that just gets plugged on top of something, because that's the biggest pitfall, I think, and mistake you can make. But then there's this other huge focus in terms of integrating AI into your people and culture. Right. So I feel a lot of AI efforts, yes, they think about the people in ways of, how can we train them, to use the tools, prompt trainings, compliance trainings, all that stuff. But I feel you need to go a step further and even make sure that the people on the ground understand how that capability supports our vision and our mission. Are they ready from a mindset and also from a knowledge AI literacy perspective to meaningfully and responsibly use it in their day-to-day and not just, know where to click to get an output. And then there is a huge piece around culture. Is your company culture or your organization's culture even ready for innovation, for experimentation, and most importantly, for that honest feedback loop? Because you don't just want AI to learn, right? And with AI, you can have these feedback loops from outputs to back to the data, and then the AI system learns. But I feel also an organization has to learn, right? And if you're not having that culture where honest feedback is valued, and where you also have people on the ground who are empowered to raise their ideas and flag opportunities, you're not gonna see the success that you're hoping for.
Yeah, it's so interesting to me when you were talking about that. What came to mind was it's both an organizational journey as well as a personal journey. And I know that my own personal use of AI has changed so much from the time when, to your point, I was just trying to get an output to now, and I certainly don't think I'm anywhere close to the end of this journey, but now I'm using AI, working with AI more as a coworker and more as, like a trusted assistant in some ways. So, and I've seen, the evolution of our firm as that's happened. So, both a personal and an organizational journey.
Yeah, amazing.
So one of the key themes that you consistently reinforce is that AI is coming whether you like it or not. And I think, some of us would say it's already here.
Yeah.
So what are some things that we can be doing as habits to either be ready for this pervasive technology or to accelerate the journey that we're all on with AI?
I would say no matter where on your journey you are, but really learn to trust it. And I feel in general with AI, there's a lot of things we've learned in our day-to-day and in our everyday lives that we can apply here. So if you're completely unfamiliar, and my parents told me don't trust a stranger, right? So be careful. So if AI is something totally strange and unfamiliar to you, don't trust it, but learn to trust it, right? Start with the not so dangerous things, right? Just speak to it, learn to understand it, try to understand how it responds to different things. And then when you get that feeling, and you only get that feeling by using it, right?
Yeah.
Then you can be a bit more bold and, try out things and so on. And that's how you really get that fluency and that literacy, I guess, you need. And you can continue this journey and learning to trust AI, and especially knowing where to not trust it.
Yeah.
Over time.
Yeah. So AI has changed so much since the launch of ChatGPT, the commercial launch of ChatGPT a couple years ago. And I wonder if you have thoughts about, where we need to slow down maybe and really be thoughtful about our own personal use of AI, our organization's use of AI, and what do we miss when we're kind of focused on the next shiny object, the next, cloud code or whatever it is that is causing so much disruption.
Yeah, I mean, I see it with myself. It's so easy to be tempted to say, oh, this open cloud thing, I need to test it out. And, there's this thing. You start setting up your agents, your helpers in one system, and then you hear the next day, okay, there's another better thing, and so on. And what I'm also seeing with my clients in the end, does it really matter, right? So you've figured out that there's a use case and that there's an application of AI that will help your business. And you started with one piece of technology. And if that gives you what you were hoping to get, finish it off, right? And just learn from it. And yes, you can then move to the next shiny thing. But I feel it's very tempting to just start one pilot and one experiment and building solutions one after the other. And as soon as you hear there's something better, you jump to the next thing. But especially from an enterprise perspective, that's a nightmare, right? In terms of wasted budgets and resources, but then also from a governance perspective, because somebody then also has to retire these systems and that are even half baked. So really getting into that discipline of when you start something, really stay focused, finish, learn from it, and then move on to the next thing. Because very often these very new shiny technologies are not really ready to scale especially in an enterprise setting anyway. So I think you always need to differentiate whether you're a huge corporation or whether you're a small lean startup where you don't have these heavy regulations and all that. So really figuring out how much of the latest hot stuff do you actually need, and maybe a traditional predictive model is actually what you need.
It sounds like you're saying that slowing down to focus on your overall business goals is really more important than making sure that you're taking advantage of the latest and greatest tool, model, whatever the case may be, but focusing on your business process, where you want to take that, and what your strategic objective is for using
so
any tool.
That's why I like to really, and I'm doing this for my own sort of AI workforce, and I'm also now doing that with my clients. Really think of them as part of your workforce, even though they are a completely different category, of course. They don't have working hours limitations and all that stuff, and they don't have unions. So but from a conceptual idea, right? Write a role description. What is that agent, that model, whatever that capability is? What is it supposed to do, and how is it gonna help your team, or if you're an individual, how is it going to help your personal goals? And that clarity, I feel, also makes it easier, especially with simpler applications, to then be more flexible. Because if you have a process and you have a skill or whatever, right, you know what you want the thing to do, and you have those instructions, and then you can relatively flexibly ask one AI platform or another to do that for you. So
okay, so this is one of the reasons that I was so excited to talk to you today, because it is completely mind-blowing to me to think about your agents as a team whose work and deliverables you're orchestrating and managing. It just conceptually, it's so challenging for me to wrap my arms around what that actually looks like. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on how do you even get started in, orchestrating a team of AI agents to get work done in service of your strategic objectives. Where even is this starting point?
Yeah, so I mean, usually you just start by understanding your own or your client's business goals and strategy, and where things fall short, right? Where there's opportunity to outsource work to an AI, or to use AI to bring an AI on board to get you better, higher quality outputs, new perspectives that you didn't have before, and so on and so forth. And then we just start by writing down a role, a job description, right? And saying, okay, this is sort of what we're looking for. This is what we expect that virtual colleague, or whatever it is, however you call it. You can be really creative about what names you give them, right? But this is what we want them to do. These are the people who will work with it. This is what collaboration will look like, because that's where you then get that integration into the workflows, into the and ideally co-create that with the people on the ground, because they if they shape what that colleague should do, you automatically have much more buy-in, and then you almost have that description that you then can use to either build something yourself with whatever out of the box tools you have, or you give that to your sourcing, to your IT, or whoever needs to hire that colleague for you, if you will, right? But I think it really helps in terms of articulating and focusing what you want that solution to do and what you want it to contribute to your team and to your goals, as opposed to getting too hooked up with the technology, because that then is sort of the second step, which is, I figured out, much easier to solve if you have that clarity.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about the future. Wawi, what do you see on the horizon for the next 12 to 18 months, not just in technology, but in integration and adoption and business value that can be created by AI? I'm asking you to pull out your crystal ball now. What are you hearing from your clients?
Oh yeah. So that crystal ball is very blurry, but if I would, I think there is not one answer. I do feel that the cutting edge will continue at that crazy speed, right? So I think from the agentic AI capabilities that we've seen, I'm hoping to see a lot of progress in terms of maturing these capabilities, but then all of the other, developments on world models. And so I think that's not the end, and there will be a lot happening. But at the same time, that's only gonna be relevant for, a small part of our economy, like for now. So I really hope that the mass of companies will finally sort of mature, or at least get started on their AI journeys, because at least, what seemed like cutting edge 2-3 years ago now has really matured. And I think we have figured out how to govern, Gen AI, LLM powered solutions, in a more or less solid way that now can be scaled. You can put guardrails and so on. So I feel there's a lot has a lot happened that will push the adoption and rollout, in the less advanced businesses as well.
It sounds like you're seeing kind of a continuum between companies who haven't even gotten started yet, really, in any meaningful strategic way, and companies that are scaling proofs of concept and pilots. So given that broad range in that continuum that you're seeing with your clients, how on earth do you stay up to speed on everything in this marketplace? Like, what are some of the things that you do personally to stay, relevant is probably the wrong word, but to stay current on all of the news about AI in the marketplace?
Yeah. So, I mean, first of all, I do have my little helpers who, search all of the latest trend reports, news, and so on. And
of course, you have a team of agents that's doing that.
Of course, and
of course
they
you do.
what to look for, and they inform me about what's relevant, which is just amazing, because I could just go down rabbit holes and scroll LinkedIn feeds, news feeds here and there,
which
and
is what I do.
All of a sudden the day is gone. So having that discipline of this is really important, and then double click on the things that I feel are important for me, is one thing I do. And then also being very strict with myself in terms of only testing the tools that I feel could add value for my clients now. So after, almost buying a Mac Mini to test out OpenClaw, I just like, oh my God, you don't have the technical depth and any, so that would be just a waste of my time. So I decided to wait and let the others, make the experiences. And that's where I'm observing in these kind of cutting edge eras where I also wouldn't feel confident to give that to or recommend that to any of my clients yet. But the tools that I feel could be of relevance for my clients, that's where I, also get licenses or at least test it or try to understand what these tools can do.
It's such a good reminder that with so many things that you can do, a large part of adding value is figuring out what you should not be doing right now. So that's a really good reminder in anything. Okay, so as you know, we get a question for our guest from our previous guest, and your question this week comes from Sonal Vaidya. And she was on the show last time, a couple of weeks ago. Her question, I'm going to read it, is, though many companies are talking about AI, a lot of organizations are struggling to move from AI pilots to real scalable impact. You've built a lot of frameworks and helped projects beyond launch deliver real business value. So what is the one change that this is going to be hard because you just have to pick one. What is the one change that helps AI really stick across teams and business units that creates that scalable impact?
Yeah, when I heard the question in the last live show, I was just thinking, oh my God, if I knew that one thing, I would be a billionaire. Because there's so many areas that you need to look at. But if I had to focus and bet on one thing, I would say it's making sure you bring your people along and you're not doing your AI transformation from an ivory tower. Because a lot of pilots that I've seen in the past, they've come, from a leadership mandate and so on. And of course, there was some sort of co-creation and user experience and all that. But really listening to the people on the ground who are supposed to work with that AI, and then also finding your evangelists and giving them a voice. If you get that culture piece and you break down the silos and the hierarchy levels, that's what I've figured out and what I also saw work really well in terms of capabilities that scale and that get adopted, beyond pilot teams.
I think that's a great answer and great advice. So you have a question for our next guest, who's Hema Cariappa from Vodafone, who'll be joining us in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. And I looked at her biography and her LinkedIn profile, and she's one of these women who, I'm really amazed when women work really in the technical
yes
world. So, and I have to admit that in my career, when I was working and collaborating with women in those very technical roles, it always felt a bit smoother and easier. I'm really struggling to pin it down. So I would love to know from her, what's her secret sauce in digital innovation, because she was also awarded a Woman in Digital award. And then I would love to understand whether she feels that there's something in it that has to do with being a woman, or if it's something else.
That's a great question, and I can't wait to hear Hema's answer. So let's bring Lois back.
Thank you so much. That was such a great conversation, Wawi. And you know what really spoke to me, I think, is, we think about AI as a technology, and obviously it is, but you spoke a lot about culture. And it really is a cultural change and a people change. So really, if, I think if people look back at this time, just like, when we look back at the Industrial Revolution, or we look back at, key points, they're going to look back at this time. And I wonder what that catalyst will be to say, how did we as a society actually, what helped us change and make this
Mhm.
major leap forward? And it's
Yeah.
going to be the people, right? It's not going to be where the technology stood. It's how we all absorbed this and utilized it. So anyway, it's really great to hear your viewpoints on that and how we can think about that. So amazing. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Wawi, and thanks everybody for joining, and we'll see you back here in a couple weeks. Have a great
Thank
day.
you.
Bye.